Hi there, my name is Pooh, and in this video I'm gonna show you how you can create your first move module. Basically, move modules are something like contracts on Ethereum network. So before we start, the good idea is to install something what will make us life easier with developing on Move. So let's go to the extension tab and let's install extension called Move Analyzer. When you find the move analyzer, let's add it to your VS Code and then let's run the command, which is this command. After running this command, you will install the move analyzer server that will automatically build your code to check what was wrong in your code. So that's how this extension actually works, and that's how it know where you got some issues and some errors. Okay, when you installed this extension, of course, this is cargo command, so you need Rust to run it. When you already installed this extension, then let's go to developing first move module. So let's create let's create new directory, which may be called in any ways. For example, let's call it example. Example, and then let's go to this repository, to this folder. Okay, and now we need to initialize new move project. So how we may initialize new move project? It's simple, just type Aptos move init and then pass name as a argument. So let's pass example as a name, and that's how we may create new move module. This is our module. Here we got move.tom, which is our main configuration file. And we got the directory, which is our sources. In here, we will create the actual move module. And we need to talk right now about the move.tom. So what all of this mean in here? So basically every move module is a package. Why is that? Because every module may interact with other modules, because every module is something what may be interactive. So that's why every module is a package. As you may see, every package need to have some name and version, but also optionally we may use some dependencies. In the Aptos network, we are using Aptos framework, which have pre-built function that will allow us to build your move code much easier, and basically this is it. As you may see, I got in here a dependency which is Aptos framework, under which you may find under this link on Git. And we declare that we'd like to use the main branch with subdir, which is our URL to the actual Aptos framework. So that's how we may link our dependency. But this may not be able when you are not using the move prover, because move prover actually download this repository and let us build this code. When you are not using move prover, which I installed in the last video, check it out if you don't seen it, then you have to use the dependencies like this. You have to pass the dependencies, then add the framework and give the path to actually download that framework on your desktop. So let's create first move module. To create it, we need to create new file that may be called, for example, just call it hello. So let's create hello.move. Okay, there's our hello.move. So to create the module, to create first module, we need to talk a little bit how modules work on the Aptos network. Basically, every module is related to address which publish this code on the network. So that's why module will look in specific way. So let's create this module. First of all, we need to create module, then pass the name of the address which we will be using. We may pass address in here like some hexadecimal address in here, for example, coffee. My bad, it should be 0 in here. We may pass the address like a coffee in here, and this is some address. Then we have to pass the actual name of this module. So let's call it hello as we called it before. As you may see, our lint work as it should, because the lint know that in here we got the actual coffee address. So because as I say before, in here needs to be the address which will this module with which this module will be related in the future. So that's why it is like this. We also may pass the deployer address or publisher address, because move modules are not deployed, they are published, so that's why I called it publisher address. So to pass publisher address, which is our desktop publisher, we have to actually declare it in our move.tom. So let's create in here publisher. Let's call it publisher. I'm not sure that I write it as it should be, but it doesn't matter for this example. So this is publisher, and let's pass in here for publisher some address. So publisher, we'd like to publisher to be the coffee address. So let's pass in here coffee. Damn it. Okay, but as you may see, I declared in package, but it should not be in package place, but it should be in address section. So now there's the error because we don't have in here we do not refresh our extension. So let's close it and let's reopen it. As you may see, for now, the module know that we'd like to use the publisher address, and they find a publisher address inside the move.tom. So this is how you may hard code your address, but we'd like to use our desktop address, not the actual address which I was using in here. So to do that, we need to pass in here bottom line. And for now, when you go to your move tom, we got the error because there's no address to use for this code. So basically, move analyzer tried to compile this code to find some issues, but it cannot compile the code because it don't know with which address it should compile this code. So basically, we need to copy this section, add in here dev, and pass in here our developer address. So basically what we do in here, what we did in here is creating developer address, which will be used if we do not pass any address with deploying contract. As you may see now, the extension work as it should. We don't have any error, and we have the Also, we have linting and we have hints in here. So let's create first function. For now, I will not talk about move, lint, and many more. I will just create some function that will always return one, just to create working module. So how we may do that? It's simple. Just create the public function. Create the public function called, for example, one, because we'd like to always return one. So this is public function called one, but it do not return nothing. Why is that? Because we need to pass something what we'd like to return in here. I'd like to return one, but I got invalid expression because I'm trying to return integer, but expected is void. So I need to pass in here that I'd like to return some int statement. I'd like to return the uint8, so that's why I pass in here uint8, and this is how you may create your first move module. But you may test it now, but you still cannot interact with this module. Why is that? Because this module don't have any entry function. Basically, this function is public, so you may use this function in any other function in this contract, but you cannot use this function interacting with this contract because you have to actually publish this function. So how we may do that? It's simple. Just add to this function word entry. The word entry will allow everyone to interact with this function, because this function will be one of many or one of few probably possible entry function which you may declare in your contract, in your move module. So this is how you may create it. Let's create for now simple test that will test our function. So let's create in here test, and let's create the test only function. So what I'm doing right now is, maybe I will slow down for a second. So I'm now created the test statement. This is macro that will find the function which is below this macro and run it when you run the test comment. So let's create in here some test function. So I will create the public function called test1, test1, and then I will create the body of this function. As you may see, we created function. This function will not be possible to, this function is also possible to run in your module, but this function, as you may see, is not possible to interact because it do not have entry statements. So people interacting with your module cannot run this function. So let's create in this function some, let's create in this function some, actually, let's create in this function some actual test. So let's in here try to run this function. As you may see, we can run this function, but we do not pass the ampersand, so we are getting error that we should not return anything. But we'd like to check did it function work properly as it should. We'd like to check did it function work as it should, because we may now run this function, but it may not work as we'd like to. So to test it out, we need to assert this function, but we will do in a few seconds. For now, let's try to run this function. Did the code compile successfully. So let's check it out. To compile compile your code, you have to type Aptos move compile. And as you may see, I got some error issue because unauthorized address for I cannot compile cause I do not pass def statement. Wait a second, I got some. Okay. Why we cannot compile our code? Cause we do not pass the actual address. We need to pass the address or pass the def statement. Is it the def statement? No. We need to pass in here dev code cause we are not in the developer mode in our terminal. So we need to pass the actual command that will compile our code. So give me a second because I forgot the sentence. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, I forgot the very important step because we don't have to compile our code before we like to test it. We may test the code using simple Aptos move test, but to compile the code, we need to pass the actual address which will be used to actually interact with this contract. Because to dev test is something that use automatically the def statement, but to compile code we cannot run the def statement. So that's why we have to pass the actual address. I will show you in the next video how you may pass your address, and also I will show you in the next video how you may actually create more advanced move module. But for now, let's get back to our test. As you may see, we passed the test because we do not try to assert anything. So let's create in here assert statement. So let's check that. Our oh, sorry, not what I was trying to do. Let's check that our one function is returning the one. So to actually test it, we also need to pass in here 0. Let's run this code. As you may see, every test was okay. We ended with okay, and one test passed, 0 failed. So as you may see, the one function return 1. It's as simple as that. Okay, it's enough for this video. In next video, I'm gonna show you how you can create more advanced module like counter or anything other. Also, I will try to show you how you can compile your code. And if you like this video and it was helpful for you, click the like button and subscribe my channel because I'd like to post more videos about Aptos network, and I will try to learn you how you may develop on this network. So see you.